Hey everybody, hello, how's it going tonight? Come on in, get cozy, and we'll get things started in just a minute here. Glad to have you. Yeah, see you soon. Hey everybody, how's it going? Hello, welcome to WagWorksGA. I am Jeff. I am the G in WagWorksGA. So that's right. It's Jeff with a G. You did not hear me wrong. Yeah. So hey, welcome. I am the illustrator of our writer illustrator team of me and my wife. My wife is Ashley. She's the A. If you're here on Twitch, you're gonna see me. I like to come on over here, do some drawing, get cozy, chat a little bit, because that's what we do. If you're joining for the first time, hey, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. If you're joining not for the first time, I'm also glad to have you here still. Yeah, so we're gonna start with our warm up in just a minute or two here. Sorry, we got got some company in town, so I'm getting to have a live audience here for the stream as well. It's good times. Even if right now that live audience is my my in-laws' dog, who also just left the room. That doesn't bode well, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna have a good time. We are gonna have a good time here. So yeah, so my wife Ashley and I, we are a writer illustrator team. I do the art. We work on kids' graphic novels. So I know you may be thinking, well, hey Jeff, what's that? That's all sorts of stuff, but you might know we got like Katie the Cat Sitter. It's one of our family favorite series. You've got Sparks, another great series. And as you start getting a little bit older, you've got things like Prince and the Dressmaker, just all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of amazing creators out there. And I will just say, if you are not a, middle grader, that's like, 9 through 12-year-old, if you're not even, if you've graduated high school already, I don't let that deter you from checking out some of these books from the library, or just paging through at the bookstore or library, because there's some amazing work out there. And really, I truly believe there's so much out there for anybody. If anybody wants to chat about favorite creators, I would love to have that conversation at any point. But for now, I'm here to do some art. So again, you can call me Jeff, you can call me Wags, kind of whatever you want. Let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up. Apologies for being a little bit scatterbrained tonight. It's been a good week, a busy week, not the busiest week, which is nice. So for warm-up, if you've watched before, I draw Pokemon for my warm-up, and sometimes also for my main piece, because that's how we roll. And the way we do our Pokemon warm-up is I pick randomly from 5 cards I picked from, the decks that we've got in the house. Shuffle them on up, and then we're gonna do a quick warm-up drill just to get loosened up. So, we got Mareep. So, let me go pull up a reference image for us real quick. I'm gonna get ready to head over to our art window in just a second. While I'm doing so, let me just say, I hope your week's going well, everybody. Hope it's been a good one. As you might have noticed, we're a little bit decked out for this holiday season tonight on stream. Feeling festive. All right, what do I want to do for my reference here? Okay. Looks good, looks good. All right, so here's the deal with warm-ups. This warm-up is exactly that. It's a warm-up. It's here to get the arm, get the wrist loosened up, get the brain thinking a little bit about shape and volume, and kind of manipulating a character through poses. It's not here to create a finished piece. I'm certainly by no means going to do that. We're going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to start with, I like to work in a process that's very much a sketch layer, a pencils layer, and then final lines before we lay down color. I'm mainly going to just be doing the sketch layer here to figure out the composition and the shape, what pose I want to do for this character, things like that. And then if I get to somewhere I like with it, I'll start tightening up things a bit in a pencils phase. That's where I'm picking some of my favorite lines, getting some more detail in there. And then my final step would be going to the inks or the final lines. I probably won't get there during the warm-up. I do like to save all my warm-ups in case I ever want to return to them, because I have on occasion done that. But this is just for fun. I encourage you to draw along. I'm going to get my 5-minute timer up here. Yeah, and if you don't want to draw warm up on a Mareep, draw whatever you'd like. We're here to have fun. We are here to have fun. Get this a little bigger. That's good. Do that. always good to get in the habit of naming our layers so we don't get mixed up. All right, well, if I hope we're all ready, I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. 5 minutes, here we go. All right, I know for my roughs layer, I typically like to do not black, just because it's a good reminder to me that I'm not in the final layer. I'm just playing around. It feels a little more freeing, and less like I'm trying to commit to a final set of lines. So that's what I'm gonna stick with. The blue is usually pretty comforting. Having done a little bit of comics back, doing it where you have to scan in your art. All right, let's just start here. The blue is nice because if you do it lightly, oftentimes it doesn't reproduce in scanners or photocopiers. Obviously, for digital art, that's less important, but I do find it a rather soothing color, so I'm gonna stick with it. All right, go with that. We're kind of just, as you may know, dear viewer, I tend to like to draw sleeping Pokemon for my warm-up here because it's just, adorable. And it's kind of an easy constraint you can put on yourself to narrow in the topics of what you're doing. It's sometimes you stare at a blank page and there's just all sorts of possibilities right there in front of you. And if you limit yourself a little bit by saying, okay, well, I'm going to kind of create a rule of thumb of what I'm going to do, you kind of get a little easier time starting. Well, hello. We have a friend. Friend is stepping away. A furry friend on stream. So our Mareep here is having a nice little snooze. That's what they're doing. What do sheep count to go to sleep? Especially electric sheep Pokemon. Maybe Pokeballs. Berries? Maybe. You also notice I'm using a really big brush here. That wasn't my pencil or eraser, that was a fill bucket. The really large brush size helps keep me from getting too locked in on detail or too focused on trying to do tight details, and just focus on kind of the bigger things, because you can't get too fine with a large brush size, and that's sometimes a very good thing, to give yourself that extra limitation so you're paying attention to exactly what you need to. All right, I'm going to even out the size of these guys a little bit. I got the little tiny nostrils down there. Alright, just got some stripes going here. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Well, it turns out for shapes to manipulate, a giant floof ball is pretty straightforward. So this one isn't too bad at all. Pretty easy. Okay. All right, well, that was pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to pencils. For me, again, I like to kind of still stick with a non-black color for my pencils. Again, just to kind of remind myself, like, this is not the final shape. the final set of lines. I'm just choosing the lines that I liked the best. I prefer also using a pencil tool. It just makes more sense. Although it is a bit confusing, of course, that your pencils layer doesn't have to be done in a pencil's brush. It's just, it's the concept of it. All right, that was 5 minutes. That was our timer going off. We are complete here for our warm-up. I'm pretty happy with how this came out so far. This is good. This is good. This is one that I could see myself returning to in the future at some point in time to finish out all the way. All right. So tonight we can move on to the main piece. So what I'm really looking at doing is finishing up my donation piece for Awesome Games Done Quick. If any of you don't know what that is, Games Done Quick itself is a charity organization. They run gaming marathons, specifically video game speedrunning marathons, to raise money for amazing causes. And they are made up of a group of incredible people who work with all sorts of talented speedrunners. Speedrunning, of course, being completing video games in the fastest time possible, usually following a specific set of constraints called a category. So they run, Games Done Quick runs 2 big marathons every year. They are a week long, 24 hours a day. Awesome Games Done Quick is the winter marathon, usually raising money for Prevent Cancer Foundation. And Summer Games Done Quick obviously is the summer one, and they are raising money usually for Doctors Without Borders. They also run a couple of slightly shorter marathons throughout the year for their Frame Fatales group, which is an all-women speedrunning group, and that raises money for Malala Foundation. So some awesome causes. And as part of the marathon, of course, they have, you can, when you donate, you can be entered to win prizes. And some amazingly talented people donate their projects to it. I have been very flattered to have been selected to have a couple of pieces accepted in as prizes over the last year. So I'm working on another one to donate for the Awesome Games Done Quick Marathon coming up on January 14th, 2024. So that was a whole lot of backstory for the fact that this is what I did. I picked out some games that they're running, and I worked out some pencils for 3 of them that I kind of narrowed in on. And these were that. I put them up on our Instagram, which same handle as here, WagWorksGA on Instagram, if you're ever curious to see what we got going on over there. And we had a little vote, and Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out in first place. And that led to the piece that you have here, which I'm very nearly finished with. I am really excited. This one is coming out really quite well. I'm pretty happy with what it's turned out to be. So I'm just trying to get the last little touches in here. I did do a little work from last time. So when stream ended last week, I only had done flat colors and shading. So what I've got in here in the last week and done is smooth it out a bit. I've smoothed out the shading. I've also added another layer of shading in here and a little bit of gradienting in, especially on Chimchar and Piplup here. So there's still a little bit more to do, but the goal is to finish this out tonight. I'm trying to add the shading and the highlights that'll help it pop even just a bit more. I can see I got a few spots yet to smooth out, but I'm really excited. This one's coming along pretty well. Pretty happy about that. And if you want to see what I did along with everything else, I can load up the time lapse here. So a lot of this, if you've been watching over the last few weeks, is going to be pretty familiar. It's really just some of the tighter details, tighter shading at the end that you'll see changing, like about here. Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there, you know? So that's all right. We're going to dive right on in tonight Yeah, because I really want to get this done in time to get it printed. I'm going to do a 16 by 20 canvas, I believe, is my plan, and get that sent out to Games Done quick, or get it submitted first before I send it. All right, here we go. So working a little bit on the ground shadows here, the Pokemon. I added a bit of a gradient, and of course I didn't, label it. There we go. And I'm gonna just tweak this up a little bit. Didn't want to overdo it on the shadows, but okay. We're gonna sit right about there for opacity. Pretty happy with that. And while I was doing that, I noticed a little bit of an area here, here on Chimchar that I didn't smooth in the highlights. So I'm gonna hop in and do that just real quick. I like using, we just have our smoothing brush, or blending tool, sorry, here in Clip Studio. Nothing crazy fancy. And just make it a little less harsh. Ease in those highlights. A little bit there. And bring that down a bit. Work on some of the highlights in here. And it just makes things a little bit more subtle. I mean, there's a place for hard lights and hard shadows. You'll see I still kept a few in here. But overall, it's good. I like to, for a piece like this, make it a bit more gentle. Yep, let's... A little bit bigger brush for this part. Okay, anywhere I'm missing here on Chimchar. I could probably do a little bit on the hand. Ease this in just a little bit. Just a wee bit. There we are, okay. Yeah, so you'll see I added a second shadow layer in here just to give it a little more depth on the core shadows. That's what it looks like if I just pop that on and off. It's just naturally more satisfying to have a little contrast and a little extra contrast in some areas. So I'm really tried to bring that out here. I didn't do Turtwig yet, so let's hop over to you, buddy. New layer. I swear I can type tonight. It's good times. Good times. Set you to multiply because we're using our nice purple that I like. Making sure it's consistent with what we're doing on Chimchar over there. And maybe I'll leave anti-aliasing on right now for the brush. If you're curious what anti-aliasing is, it's the kind of level of fuzz that's around the edge of the brush. Does it just abruptly cut off, or do we have kind of some semi-transparent pixels around the edge? It can be nice when the line is going to stand alone. It kind of gives it a nice smooth look, and it's a little bit less jarring at the edges. But if you intend to use a fill tool of any kind, you're much better off to have it off, actually, because the semi-transparent pixels will wreak havoc with your selection and your fill brush, and you'll have all sorts of fun little gaps when you go in to do that. Yeah. So there's plenty of room for both ways to do it. Just know what you're using it for in general. And I know I could totally just use a darker or a more saturated purple on the same shadow layer to get kind of the same effect going on. But I do find that kind of layering the shadow layers, I like the effect that you get from it. And on top of that, if I ever end up deciding that I've gone kind of overboard on my dark shadows, it's way easier to back it out if you can just turn off a layer instead of having to go back and like reselect and reset areas to a flatter shade. If you ask me. If you ask me. So yeah, just going in here, adding in some darker shadows where, you know, naturally it's going to be a touch darker. Again, really the goal here isn't necessarily super realism. The goal is adding contrast, because that is where your eye is going to always be drawn in a picture. Yeah, let's bump that up a little bit. Our eyes are very naturally drawn to areas of high contrast. So by working to increase the natural contrast, it really is just going to help to draw the eye and to give that sense of depth, really help everything pop. And it makes depth a little bit less ambiguous too, which is kind of a nice boon as well. Alright, I will touch up the shadows layer underneath here. We got a little bit lost when I smoothed it out. That's good. And then we'll go in and add a little more here, which I can then likewise smooth that a touch. Gonna bring that brush size down a wee bit. Better. Better. Okay. Just taking a quick look in, making sure everything's still in order. I might go way down here. Very subtle smooth on this. Doesn't need to be super like washed out. Just smooth that line a little bit. Smooth this guy a little bit. Okie doke. That should probably be in Shadows 1. Not bad, not bad. We're doing okay, my friends. Not bad there. Okay, so really we're going to be looking a lot here at getting some more shading on this guy here, the water droplet. Maybe adding a bit there, and then just a bit more on this leaf. And that got largely washed out, but that's okay. That's okay. Maybe I can add a little, yeah, little touch of shadow in here. That's looking pretty good. All right. Yeah, honestly, we're coming along pretty well tonight. This is good. How many times can I say this is good? At least 5 more, probably. That out just a bit more. Okay. Just gonna check this reference real quick. Okay, there's not really a lot of leaf texture or anything going on in the official art, so that's okay. I was like, do I need to add all of the different like little veins on the side of the leaf? But I think it's good. I don't want to overdo things here. Yeah. I'll just go ahead and add darken what I've got a little bit, just to give it, again, a little bit more of that sense of depth. Okay. And then of course the other thing that I wanted to do here was click into this. I'm gonna add just a little gradient layer over the top. Yeah, just over the flat. I think that's where we did it. I did it for the other ones. Just double check, make sure I'm using what I think I'm using, and I am. That's great. And I know what you're thinking. Jeff, this Pokemon isn't purple. You're very correct. That's super dark when we do it at full opacity. So I'm going to bring it down. And just, I think about 40 is what I used on the last couple when I added them the other day. I can bring that down just a touch. There you go. I think that's looking pretty good. I might add another highlight layer. That's what I wanted. Get my pen. Give it just that little bit more shininess. Again, not going for photorealism here, but I think I like it. All right, let's. I might turn that down even a little bit more. I feel like it's a lot more dramatic on Turtwig than it is on anybody else. Interesting. No. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Chimchar looks good. Turtwig looks pretty good. Oh, Piplup I turned way down too. Probably because the colors are super duper light. That makes a lot of sense, don't you think? Oh man, I love this song. I would, anytime I play FF9, like, first time I hit the map screen, I have to just sit there and listen to the music for a minute. I love it. Alright, I was gonna smooth out these guys. I didn't get to the highlights. Just smooth out the backside of this to kind of give it that more like gradiated appearance as it like spreads across the surface of like the leaves, but then the harsh light gives you a little bit more of the feeling of like an edge to the leaves. That's what I'm going for there. Okay, before I go too far back on the background, I'm gonna get these berries shaded in a little bit more. I feel like we can make these guys pop just a wee bit more. All right, here we go. You know what? You know what? Let's just do that. And clean you up a little bit here. All right. If I'm being totally honest, there's a part of me that's like, well, you know, I could probably have just called this done with that first level of shading and highlight, but I do really want this to pop. I feel like one of the things I have learned in my art journey is that, yes, granted, there is such a thing as perfectionism and sinking way more time than you need to into a piece, but also, oftentimes the difference between something that I would throw in the trash and something that's like one of my favorite things that I did ever really just comes down to like, did I care enough about the piece to stick with it and just see it through and bring out, like, put in the time to figure out like what is the idea that I want to get across here? What is the feeling, and what's going to communicate that? And not that I'm perfect at that, obviously. But you can see it. I mean, even if you've been watching the streams where I've been working on these GDQ pieces, or the GDQ piece, but figuring out what I wanted to do. Even when I was just doing like pencils for a bunch of different ideas, like a little bit of throwing spaghetti at the wall type of situation. Excuse me. At least 2 of the 3 pencils that I did, I hated. When I started, I was like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't set my reference layer. This is gonna fill everything, and I'm gonna undo it very quickly here. But yeah, I just did not like them when I was like, 10-15 minutes in. There we go. Yeah, and really, because I stuck with them and took the time to figure out, like, okay, what's not working with this composition? Let's spend a little more time nailing out the detail here, stuff like that. By the time that I finished the little bit, that came out funny. Finished. Sorry, I'm easily distracted. By the time I finished it, I really liked them. I came out with 3 pieces that I really liked, so much so that, I asked everybody on Instagram for help deciding what to do, which one to finish. So I feel like it's been a real takeaway for me. Just like it does matter. Like, yes, know when you're spending too much effort on perfecting things that don't need to be perfected. Know when it's going to be better just to start over. But also, like, if you spend the effort and give your stuff the chance, the time it needs to really figure it out, usually you're going to be so much happier with the results. If there's any artists out there in chat right now or watching on YouTube, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Is this actually a bad road? Is this like leading to like wasting tons of time on things that you should just throw away and start over on, or have you found something similar? I got to know. I had not smoothed these guys out yet. What am I doing? I will say, there is some level of this stuff. Like, I feel like once I wrap up what I'm working on tonight with all this, were I to try to go in and spend a big chunk of time more, that's the wrong layer, a big chunk of time more trying to nail things out, that would probably end up being like, all right, it's about as good as it's gonna get where you're at right now, so it's time to move on. Like, that could be getting into that, like, okay, now you're just throwing away a bunch of time philosophy. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Yusan? Did I get that right? And welcome, by the way. Thanks for hanging out tonight. So are you, cool. Are you a Sinnoh fan? We got a little bit of shading here to kind of give it some of that texture. Smooth it out a bit. Not specifically all generations. Likewise. Actually, it's kind of funny. I haven't played Diamond and Pearl. It's one of the few regions that I haven't played. I know before it came out, I was super excited about it, but then just ended up being one that I never picked up for some reason. I mean, now you can catch these Pokemon in all sorts of different games, so it's not a huge deal, but Shadows 2 is what I wanted to go for there. If you want to confuse yourself, name all your layers the exact same thing. It's not a good idea. You will regret it. You played all of them? Oh, that's awesome. So, I know you said you love all generations. Do you have a favorite? Okay, I am indeed on the picnic basket layer. To be fair, I know it's a tricky question because as a Pokemon fan, there's stuff to love in all of them. I was just curious. Like for me, I also probably couldn't pick an exact favorite. Diamond and Pearl or Black and White, you can't choose. And those are all, I know, I think Black and White was considered like pretty revolutionary at the time, right? Like, alright, let's bump up this brush size just a little bit. So it's funny because Diamond and Pearl and Black and White are probably my well, obviously I said I didn't play Diamond and Pearl, but Black and White I only played a little bit of as well. But I really enjoyed what I played. That might be too dark. I think that's too dark. So let's just put on that extra shadow there from the edge of the basket. Bump up my blending brush. Bring that in just a little bit. It's pretty good. It's like every time I start to think I've got a favorite in my head, I have a hard time settling in on it. Like I spent a lot of time with X and Y. That was super good. I really enjoyed that. There will always be a special place in my heart for Johto. Because Gold was my first Pokemon game. That's too small. Like favorite actual Pokemon versus like Pokemon game. Favorite Pokemon is Umbreon for sure. There's, you know, obviously there's 1,000+ Pokemon and there's a lot of really great ones that I enjoy, but Umbreon is favorite. For sure. Is that yours too? Okay, this would be a bit more shaded, so I can darken this one a little bit. Just kind of where the edge of the basket would be. Smooth that here. No? So what's your favorite? Good. Oh, in the top 5. Okay. Oh, Gardevoir. Don't ask more. Fair. Yes. Gardevoir is I think one of my top 5 as well. Okay, that looks good. Now, how far do I want to go with this? So, okay. I'm good with adding a little pop, a little more shadow to the berries. I got that. I've got Chimchar, I've got Turtwig, I've got Piplup. Picnic Basket's got a little bit more, but I don't want to do too much more because then, you know, I like having the eye drawn a little bit more naturally to the main characters, the main Pokemon in the piece. That's more. Speaking of Pokemon, the new DLC just dropped for Scarlet Violet today, right? The Indigo Disc. Might do a little bit on the Pokemon back here. I can just do a light additional shadow. Wait, I did some. But where? Oh, I must have made the layer, but not actually gone and finished it. Actually, this brush might be a little big for that. Get that, all right. You know what? Instead of doing reference layer and filling, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this one by hand. It's not a lot of work to do. Give Pachirisu a little bit of depth here. Hey, thanks for the follow, by the way. In case there's any lurkers out there, just know this is a lurk-friendly stream. I'm just happy you're here. I'm never going to call you out unless you want to. If you want to be called out, just say hey in chat, and I'm happy to talk. But otherwise, I am just happy to have you here. Okay, and add a little depth to the shadow in here. Gardevoir, Delphox, Absol, all the Eevee evolutions, Mawile, and Serperior. Okay. The favorites. I mean, those are all really, in my opinion, those are all really solid choices. Fennekin was definitely my starter for X. Alright. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Touch up a bit. Okay, and I'll probably add just a little bit to the ground shadows here just to give it a bit more weight. I probably would do a lot more with the bush in the background. Oh, thank you. Thanks. I am very, very pleased with how this one is turning out so far. Something like that, and then just give a little more border to the plants here. Nope. There's always a gap somewhere, isn't there? Alright, do a little preemptive gap filling. That should get it. Okay. We did it. Oh, can I show you Starly from close? Yeah. Boop, boop. Where are you? Alright, come on. There we go. There you go. Is that good? For being a fairly common bird Pokemon, I gotta say there's something very satisfying about Starly's design. Really. Thank you. Yeah. Alright, let's go smooth in these guys a little bit. That might be too much, honestly, now that I'm looking at it. Maybe. Or at least that smooth might be too big on the edge. Yeah. Around the bush. Oh, Altaria, yep. Also, super cool Mega Evolution for Altaria, if you ask me. I'm curious if we will ever see Mega Evolutions come back. I really like them and the different takes on them, but it seems like maybe Pokemon Company is ready to be done with it. Blend that in a little bit. Do a bit more here. I don't know if we need the shadow, the second shadow there now that I look at it. You think it's good? The Mega Evolution? Alright, maybe I'm just gonna... No, I don't... This is what Lasso Tool exists for. Or even... Just select from the layer. Yeah. Just a moment, Clip Studio is thinking. Alright. Yep, that's how we're gonna be. Okay. Okie dokie. Alright, because I don't want to get rid of my secondary shading on the other layer, but I do want to clear it out of here. Just a bit. And then now that I've done that, I can use just a big old eraser and clear it out here, since I don't have to do as delicate work over. Alright. We're back on track. Oh, is it not a fan of Terra? I think it's an interesting idea, for whatever it's worth. And I like the kind of customization it gives on typing that you can do with it. But I don't think the designs are like anywhere near as cool as they are with the Mega Evolutions. Even the Dynamax as well. Like they at least they did some interesting like different stuff with the design of some, you know, tried and true favorites. I thought that was cool. I mean, really, as an artist, sometimes I'm like just kind of in it for the new Pokemon designs. I want to see the new things, the new ideas. But like I think, for example, Mega Gardevoir, for like that was such a great Mega Evolution. Thought it was super cool. I wish they'd get back to some of that. Oh, you like the shadow underneath there? I wasn't sure. It felt like I was kind of feeling like it was too much. I can go back and revisit it. Thanks. Use that in. Okay, I'm just gonna finish out here on Starly real quick before I go back over to the shadow, since I'm here. Smooth you in. I'll leave kind of the boundary of the main shadow kind of sharp, but then I'll smooth in underneath here. Probably just shade in all of this back talon. Maybe get a little bit of a rim light kind of situation going on. Okay, good. Alright, let's go take a look. Do you think like the whole shadow? Oh, Pichu riding Starly? Oh. That would be kind of cute. I've got to admit. What if I do this? Okay. Okay. Hmm? No, you're just gonna select the whole thing, huh? Just close to the roots a little bit. Okay. Alright. Tilt this for just a little better angle for me here. Well, thank you. Thanks. It's it takes time for sure. And I know I've got a lot of room to grow, but I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Maybe I will put... Okay. I think I know what's bugging me. I think I get what's going on here. It's that if there's a more direct shadow, then the lighter shadow should be more ambient and should be more scattered, and therefore it should have like a softer boundary to it than I was giving it. So if I make this... Alright, what? Yeah, that's where you were. Wait. The shadows on multiple layers. That's what's happening. Because I did a gradient, but I thought it was just on the ground shadows of the front Pokemon, but it was also on the bushes. Okay, I am seeing what's happening here. All right. So, Yusan, do you draw as well? Okay, so I can make that a little lighter. Trying to. I mean, I really appreciate the compliment. Thank you. But I gotta say, like, you should give yourself some credit. Also, it takes time. I've been drawing for most of my life. And I'm not a professionally trained artist, but that doesn't mean that I haven't been drawing for a very long time and practicing. And I don't know if it makes you feel better, but like, it's there are people that I see that I'm just blown away by their talent, and I see how much time and effort they put into their like building their skills and their eye for everything. And it's so inspiring. I don't know if it's the same way for you, but like, when I see people who are just incredible, like, it just makes me want to go, like, spend even more time on it. Like, I want to keep doing it. I want to keep drawing. Like, I get really, it's kind of this maybe not weird, but like this super excitement to go do more, because like I'm like, oh, I see what's possible, right? Like I see what I like could be if I just keep working and growing. Excuse me. Add a little more here. I feel like you can't have a Sinnoh piece without Bidoof in there. But yeah, Yusan, I would just encourage you, if you're drawing, if you feel like you want to get better, just keep at it. Like obviously doing studies on style is always good, but also just keep working, because you're gonna get there. You're gonna get to where you want to be, and you're gonna see, you know, and you're gonna go even further, because then once you get to where you thought you wanted to be, you're gonna see even more that you could do. And it's just, if you keep working at it, it will keep growing. And yeah, it's really fun too. Like I think it's one of those things where I realized that no matter what, I was doing art, like just for myself. Even before I even thought of posting it on the internet, I was just drawing for fun, for myself, to entertain myself. You really want to draw more, but every time you try to practice, you feel like you're bad, and you get burnt out really fast. You don't like to push through just for fun. Yeah. I mean, the spirit of fun in it is really, the spirit of fun in it is very important, because that's what kind of keeps you going. But continue step by step. Yeah, just keep at it. And, you know, I've heard different pieces of advice for things. One that I thought was really interesting, I never thought of it this way, is like, just pick like one thing that you're going to draw. Like I think that the artist in this is like a YouTube video, the artist recommended like a tree, and just be like, I'm gonna draw a tree every day. But you know, inevitably, as you draw that tree every day, you're gonna get a little bored with it, and you're gonna start trying different things and different styles and different perspectives, and you end up practicing all these different elements of it, and it can be some crazy growth. Also, I would say sometimes finishing something like a piece is one of the best tickets to growth. I think anytime I've committed to doing like a big project, that's when I've grown the most. I'm realizing my blending brush is too small for what I'm trying to do here. That's not going the way I want it to. Hold up. Yeah, we're still undoing. Good deal. But anytime I've done something like either a full piece, full drawing, or even just like a sketch that I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go and touch up the lines where I don't like them, and I'm gonna shade it or something like that. Pushing through to finish it and make it as good as you can is a really good way to get growth. You do a lot of things like drawing, writing, 3D modeling, and rigging, and game coding. Oh man, that's awesome. It's funny though, because a lot of them are kind of interrelated if you think about it. Or have some translation at least. At least one way or another. Okay. Now we'll try this again. Maybe not with a 50 size blending brush, but a little bit bigger. And we're just gonna take it easy. Get this to work. That's true. Having a lot of things going, it definitely keeps you from burning out. Because yeah, you can just, when you get frustrated or tired of one thing, you can just switch to the next. That's a great way to look at it. Well, good luck, because those are all really awesome. I definitely have a few books on 3D modeling that I've read through, but never gotten like practiced all the way through. Still not quite happy with where this is going. Maybe it's better leaving it like right there. Yeah, but I was originally, when I was going to school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna double major or at least minor in computer science and then learn how to code games, and I'm gonna do that for fun in my spare time. Which it turns out, spare time can be hard to come by. You think the hard shadow looks better? Yeah, that soft shadow is not going quite where I wanted it to, but that doesn't look quite right either, especially since maybe it's just also that I'm trying to fit that really kind of much more detailed shadow inside, and it's actually more detailed than the bush itself. Okay, let's step it back. Yeah, I think so. Too much of the bubbliness, like it doesn't actually make sense there. Yeah. Yep. And one bigger one there. I don't want it to be too consistent. Little variation in the size. Maybe add a little guy here. Okay. This feels like it's going better. But yeah, Yusan, I just, again, I encourage you, don't give up. Keep with it. Keep with what you're doing. Because if you enjoy doing it, that's the entire point. Cool. Will do. All right. Okay, now I think I can actually bump up the brush size since I'm not trying to fit in so much bubbles. Smooth that out a little bit. Oh, you're trying to make a game? Oh, that's so cool. What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of game? Alright, let's take a step back and look at it. I think that's actually too big. I think that's another part of the problem, is because it's not overlapping. It might not even make sense to have the same direct, like darker shadow there, because it's not directly overhanging, which I kind of knew. I wanted to make it cast maybe a bit more, but the shadow would be more diffuse. So I think maybe the lesson I need to learn here is to leave well enough alone sometimes. Yeah, it doesn't look incorrect without the shadow. I think it's good. All right. Okay. Okay. So now I want to add a little bit of a gradient over the flat parts of the background. So that's just gonna select the whole thing, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Go to my lines layer, which is already my reference layer. You think it's good this way? Story-driven JRPG, small amount of adult content. You're a fan of that type of game, so you want to create your own. Cool. Well, good luck. That is an awesome undertaking. A big one, but awesome. Although there's been some great games by single-person developers. Wasn't Undertale one of those ones that someone was a single person developing it? Isn't that right? I feel like I remember that. Alright, maybe this one? Okay. Okay. Then what I can do, now that I've got that all selected, add a multiply layer over top. And I can throw a light gradient on here. Hello? There we go. Yep. So what I'm gonna do is tweak where I got that starting. Oh, and the chibi style, like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. That's a really good style. I enjoyed those. Okay, so I think that's the gradient direction that I want. Just gonna lighten it up a bit. And then I'm gonna come in. Might erase out the gradient. No. That might be too jarring if I do it there. But I can blend that in too. With 2D story scenes and conversations? Oh, that's cool. So have you started a lot of it yet? Or are you like in the planning phase, or yeah. Okay, I think I like how I'm doing that. I think so. Okay, and just one more little tuft of grass that we'll get. Getting used to the Godot engine. Am I saying that right? So trying all the mechanics you'll want to have in the game. And in the meantime, writing story. Yeah. It's a big undertaking with a lot of different pieces. That's awesome. That's super cool. So apparently we've reached the focus time, Jeff, portion of the stream where I just start going silent for random intervals. Sorry about that. Okay. We are very, 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 very close on this. What I think I'd like to do... Hey? You want to see? Just about. I think I got one little piece I'm looking to add on here, but otherwise we're good. Everyone say hi to Ashley. Thanks.
Who's the bird? Who's the bird?
The bird?
Yeah.
That's Starly. Oh, thanks. Yusan says hello. Yusan, in case you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, Ashley is my wife, but also she's the writer on our team. I just do the art. We do, of course, help each other out. But yeah, she's our writer. All right, let's brighten up the sky just a little bit here. Get a gradient going on. Something like that. Let's see, soft light is pretty subtle. Hard light is too much at full opacity. I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good level right there. Pretty happy with that. I think this is very, very, very close to being done. So what do I want to... My eyes are drawn a little bit to the fact that there's so much flat grass, and I know grass is supposed to be textured, but it's not here. I'm not a naive person, so it'll take a few years, but slowly you'll get there. Put first early access on Patreon. It's a good idea. Next year, hopefully. Oh, cool. Like a lot of devs creating games, like mine, like yours will be hopefully. Oh, and then released by chapters or updates every half a year. Planning is really impossible right now. Yeah. So I know how fast I'll be able to implement everything. Just your ideal hope. And it's awesome that you got such a solid plan set out. I think that's even if knowing that it could change, it's good to kind of know what you're targeting. And yeah, absolutely, like getting out there on Patreon, and because your time is valuable. Your time is very valuable, and like giving people the chance to help contribute to make it happen, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, that's a cool plan. So like at the end of 24, you're targeting to first launch something on Patreon. I'm just gonna try something. I may not like it even a little bit, but I'm gonna try it. Is that overlay? I think I want overlay. Alright. And I'm gonna save first. Oh, absolutely. An end date for motivation is so very helpful. That is, yeah, there we go. No, that is not quite what I wanted, but alright. How, okay, this might, will it work? I don't know. I'm not promising I'm gonna stick with this. Yep, end of next year. Yeah, I think, especially for a big project, it makes so much sense to give yourself a timeline just to get that little push of like when, like, oh right, I need to get this going so I can meet my deadline. Okay, this is possibly working. Maybe I'm liking this. having a little bit, I don't know. It just, all right, bump that up a little bit there. Yeah, I just think there was something about that huge flat area when my brain is like, but there's supposed to be texture there, Jeff. There's a lot you have planned for a game, but not everything would be in the first release, of course. So like turn-based combat, open map with biomes, farming, the dating, alchemy, magic, taming, writing monsters online. Yeah, that's a lot. More grass is always good. Yeah. I know the tufts of grass like I drew here more clearly would be really distracting if I had too many of them, but I definitely felt like it needed something. Okay, and now actually that's not what I wanted. I want grab this, saturate it, add a saturation layer. Let's just see what this does. Let's just see. Ooh, no, that's too saturated. That is way too saturated. No, thank you. Maybe what I want to do here instead is a multiply, but I'm probably going to turn it down in terms of opacity. So you get the first version of your game to be the promo and get more devs on board, and then, yeah, and then build out the other features. That makes a lot of sense. Because, yeah, that's pretty ambitious, that list. Okay, that might be... Gosh, we might be just about there. So it is, and I know that, but I'd rather plan it now. I don't do it if I'm thinking about what I... Yeah. it's better to kind of have a plan in place, just, you know, that you don't need to use, instead of like realizing you needed a plan and then having to, yeah, scramble to get one together. Yeah, it's a lot of work for a single person. Although on the bright side, there are so many more development tools I feel like out there now that do make it you know, more manageable than it would have been like 10 or 20 years ago, for sure. I'd say that much. However, I've never developed a game myself, so I don't know the full process. I mean, I've looked a little bit at stuff like Unreal Engine and even just like Pygame, right? Like something really basic and simple to kind of get you started prototyping things, figuring out things. I do need to add a signature in here though, hey? Do a vector layer here. Oh, you know what? I don't think I even labeled any of these. Just gonna go, yep. Sky gradient. I'm just gonna try to save myself a little pain later. Blanket pattern. Light grass texture and dark grass texture. All right, this is organized, and I'm actually possibly going to be able to go back 6 months from now and figure out what I did if I needed to do that. So that's exciting. So your first version of the game you're planning will be very basic with the combat, dating, and farming. The main core that you're sure about how you'll be able to do? Yeah. I mean, that's a really good strategy. You know, I think you clearly have thought this out. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Sorry, it's like coming up on midnight Eastern time, so my brain is a little bit slower to form the words. Although this happens every Thursday night, really. I have a full-time day job, and I'm a parent of 2 children, so my brain does tend to run a little low on battery at the end of the night, but it's all good. Okay, those are all labeled. That's great, and I'm happy about that. These are all labeled, and that's also great. What are you? You are also tail glow. All right. Okay. Just checking everything. I definitely have occasionally gone back and animated old projects. Very, very, like once or twice. And it helps to have these all labeled now before I, just completely forget. Because I'm not going to remember this forever. Don't worry, here it's 5:45 in the morning. Where are you? Yeah, wait, you'd probably be like over in like England? Oh, Czech Republic. Whoa, cool. Well, that's exciting. I don't know if I've ever chatted with someone from the Czech Republic before. All right. How's this brush size? Go a little bigger. It's like I'm still working on like the confidence of adding my signature to stuff. Like, oh, really? It's just me. Why should I put my name on it? Beer is in your bones and wine is in your blood. That sounds fun, but a little intense. No, I'm just kidding. But well, I know in Europe, like, isn't it in general just a lot more common to have wine and beer as your beverage? Like, not that it's uncommon here in the States. Okay. Actually, it's a serious medical condition. Yes, that would be a very serious condition. Beer bones. I'm imagining like a medical drama. Like, I'm so sorry. You've got beer bones. Yeah, very common. Yeah. Which honestly, I think is, it's good. It's good. No, not beer bones. But wait, I also have to tell you, you have wine blood. All right. Okay, so here's the deal. I am pretty happy with this piece. This is how many days do I have left? We can't say, but they're going to be really great days. Yeah, this is great. I mean, I knew by doing a little bit of work ahead of time, it was going to help out, get things where they needed to be. Since I was looking at a deadline on this, but I think I'm done. This is awesome. I'll probably take a day or so, take a look at it again, make sure it's all still looking good to me, have Ashley review it, but I think we're here. What do you think? And we can talk about it later if you want. What do you think of the grass texture that I added in here? Because it was just all this flat green that I had. It's on a separate layer, so I can always undo it. I wasn't 100% sure on it.
I don't know. I'd say I think I'd like it better if it was the lighter ones consistent with the shape that you do there instead of just like line. But I also think it's
Okay. Yeah, like I kept the dark and the light on different layers so I can even...
No, take off the light one. You can really get better.
With just the dark? So, but maybe
Sure.
fill in a little bit more of the dark to...
Maybe. Let's sleep on it.
We'll sleep on it. Yes. It's a perfect piece of art. Genius. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Like, that really means a lot. I appreciate it. Okay. So gosh, I've gotten so used to going to like midnight or 12:30 here before I finally wrap up. Yeah, I'm excited to be done a little ahead of schedule tonight. Which means we can head over to just chatting time. Whee! Here we are. My obligatory. What is happening, right? All right. I was just gonna do. Hold on a second. Jeff is thinking. Wee, my obligatory. I'm back in chat, so now I'm just gonna spam emotes. Wee, that's me. We did it. This is so exciting. Yeah, I'm happy to be wrapped up. So yes, my plan is Ashley and I will take a look at this in the next day or so. Make sure it's still looking good. Maybe tweak a couple of those things with the texture of the grass. But overall, we're in a good space. Which one are we talking about? We're talking about the bunny from Animal Crossing, who I believe this villager's actual name is Bunny. Or, of course, we've got our good Final Fantasy XIV Moogle, although they're obviously ubiquitous in the series in various designs. But, yeah, so we'll take a look, make sure still happy with how the texture turned out, although I'm happy with where we're at right now. And if that looks good, then we can submit. We can submit to GDQ, and hopefully they'll like it. Hopefully they'll say yes, we'd love to have this print for the for a prize, and then we'll go ahead and send it over. Oh, you know the Moogle. I mean, I figured you probably did. Moogles are they're out there. Yeah, this is an Animal Crossing character, one of your potential villagers. Again, I believe her name is actually just Bunny. Usually they have a bit more variation and not just the animal name, but yeah, so that's where we're at. And then next week I will start. It's funny, usually this was not meant to be a dedicated Pokemon art channel, but the trading game art submission deadline is at the end of January, I believe. So I wanted to submit something to be on a trading card potentially. But there's tons and tons and tons of world-class artists who are also submitting. So that is far from being a guarantee, but it would be fun to throw my art out there for it. So I'm gonna start figuring that out next week. I think that is my plan. They'll like it. They better. Aw, thanks. Oh, thank you for the words of encouragement. Sometimes it can be difficult throwing your art out into the world. You never know if people are gonna like it. Sometimes it just receives silence, which is not bad, but it's also sometimes you wonder, why am I even putting it out there? But yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah, so all right, well, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna wrap up for the night. It's coming up on midnight here in the Eastern U.S. Yusan, thank you for joining. It's been really great chatting with you. Good luck, not just with your keeping on drawing, but also with your game development. I'm here Thursday nights at 10 o'clock United States Eastern time. So if you ever want to stop by, let me know. I'm curious to hear how things are going with it. I'd love an update. Yeah, thank you. Anyone out there lurking in chat? Hey, thanks for joining too. Again, I'm very pro lurker, so you do not have to chat. I will not call you out. I'm just happy you're here. Oh, thanks for the follow. But yeah, all right. Well, I think that's it. If you're watching also on YouTube, thank you for joining there. Yeah, I hope you're all having a great December. Have a great week ahead of you, and I will see you next week. What? Never wave until you start your scene transition. Come on, Jeff. There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Good night, guys.